Hey, Stamford Bridge, Baggy TV, hey. Adishola, how you doing, mate? NSI 2 games. Yeah, a lot better, thank you. Brooklyn in the house. Yes, the States is there. Goddess, how you doing? Yeah, I'm feeling a lot better, thanks, guys. I've had a bad 2 weeks suffering with COVID. Not a nice experience, but I think I'm over the worst of it now, and yeah, back to my normal self. So yeah, it's good. Yeah. Thanks for your concern as well, guys. I appreciate it. And yeah, good job done. Yeah, we got the job done. I thought we played okay today. Did you? You had COVID too, and so yeah. I hope you are better now. I hope you're a lot better. Yeah, yeah. I'm coughing a little bit now and again, but my breathing is a lot better. It wasn't that bad that I had to get hospitalised or anything else, but I was yeah, it's difficult breathing, loss of appetite. And makes your brain go a bit fuzzy as well sometimes. But yeah, see Baggy's on here. Thanks for all the advice you gave me, Baggy, as well. Um, appreciate it. Um, if anyone wants to join, I will add the link. If anyone wants to come on and comment on the game. Bedbound for a week. Okay, yeah, I tried to stay out of bed as much as I could actually, because I tried to come downstairs and sit up. 'Cause I didn't really want to stay in bed. That's the link. Werner unlucky. Yeah, the penalty should have been taken again. I don't know why it wasn't taken again. If it was Man U, that penalty has been taken again. The guys, I think they were feeling sorry for Luton because the goalkeeper had both his feet off the line before the ball was struck. So I don't know why it wasn't retaken. And I thought actually Werner, I thought played well today. I like him in that position as a second striker. I thought he looked a lot more comfortable. So it was a pity that he couldn't finish off with that goal because that would have done a lot for his confidence. But I know it was only Luton, but I like the formation that we played today. The Luton goalkeeper has been capped for Croatia. Yeah, he was a decent goalkeeper. Werner got an assist. Yes, he did. Hey, Blues Backyard. How you doing, mate?
Hi.
You good? What do you think of the game?
Good.
Hmm. Yeah. So, do you like the form? Do you like this formation, or do you think?
I like it.
Yeah. Did you think it's suited the players,
Yeah.
especially Werner? I thought it suited him pretty good. Christmas Day. How you doing, mate? Just looking at some of the comments here. Do you think Kepa has a future at Chelsea? That one. What do you think of Kepa? Kepa, bad mistake for the first goal, obviously. But then he redeemed himself with two decent saves in the second half. But
Yeah.
for me, I still think that he's too error prone to be a Chelsea goalkeeper.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was your man of the match today,
Abraham.
Abraham. Yeah, Abraham. Yeah, obviously scored a hat trick. So yeah, I still think there's room for improvement in his game if he can get his movement going. Because there's a couple of times where crosses came in and he wasn't in the right place at the right time. But hopefully that comes with a bit more experience. But yeah,
Yeah.
he did well, and I thought he worked the big man up with next to Werner. I thought it was good because Werner's always liked playing off big men, and I think today it worked pretty good. But when you're playing against stronger midfielders, I'm not sure. So it's a balancing act. But Frank could still try it at times. We just need to get the attacking players or the midfielders working a lot harder to retrieve the ball. Great win today, but reality check it was Luton. Yeah, it was Luton. But what I I said it before. It's only Luton, but the positive. There's a few positives to take from the game. I thought we played with a lot more confidence. Like if you look at the game against Morecambe, and Morecambe are obviously in a lower division, I still didn't think we played that well against Morecambe. Okay, we got the 4-0 win, but I still thought that we were playing a bit within ourselves. Today, I saw a bit more confidence in our play. And
Do you
Luton are not.
do you think Frank Lampard's gonna get sacked?
It's good. It's as you know, it's a results-driven game, and if he doesn't get a result against Wolves, which puts us further behind to get in top four, then the writing's on the wall. I know that Chelsea have definitely been sounding out other managers, so they are preempting it. So it's all on Frank. If Frank can uh, beat Wolves and win this next 3 or 4 games, and then they go on a run and they get their confidence back, then he buys himself a bit more time. But because Roman Abramovich has already, if he wanted him sacked, he would have sacked him after the Leicester game. But I think that he's affording him a little bit more time because of his stature in the game and what he's done, and I think he's just giving him that little bit more time. But if, as I said, if the results don't pick up and we lose 2 or 3 of our next 5 or 6 games, then he's definitely gone. So yeah, depends on that. Weren't
Yeah.
played class today. Unlucky to get. Yeah, that's why I said sports life is coin. Yeah, I agree. I thought that he looked a lot more comfortable in that role. Again, it's playing players in positions where they're most comfortable. And today you can see that Werner likes to play as a second striker, and most of the things that he did today were pretty good. I thought. Wolves is a huge game. Could be the fate of Lampard. Yeah, as I said, yeah, we need to get a win against Wolves, and it's got to be a convincing win as well. Yeah, and then we go on to the next game, and then the next game to the next game. So yeah, as I said, this is a results based business. So we just need to start to uh, play with a lot more belief. Bobby, welcome, mate. Welcome to the stream. Nice to see you.
Hello, Max. Hello, everyone. I've sort of missed you, mate. Honestly.
Yeah, COVID got the better of me, mate. So yeah.
Oh dear. Well, I
So
hope you're better now.
yeah, I'm a lot better now. So yeah, so that's why I've been missing for a few weeks on the chat. But yeah, I'm a lot stronger now. So yeah. So what's your opinions on the game today?
Do you know what? We were sharing, weren't we? I'm trying to make up my mind whether this team, well, definitely this team is a bit short. We do need some additions in the summer. I think we need additions right the way down the spine, an attacker, another one, because there's one available, definitely a midfielder, and definitely another centre back because Thiago's getting on. But having said that, are they good enough? They're still a young side developing. That's the frustrating side of it. I think. Despite all my frustrations in the midfield, I've come to realise that Frank isn't going to add any physicality to the midfield. So the only way out of that is for the midfield to be exceptionally mobile and to pass the ball quickly. Are they doing that? Sometimes, but they need to do it more, especially against the bigger teams. I think this was a laboured victory. It wasn't impressive. Could have been 2 championship sides, as far as I'm concerned. People will say, "Oh, what about all the wing play and all that?" It was all wing play, but to no avail until Callum came on. Is that an indictment? Probably not. But, the Premier League is unforgiving. And Frank doesn't have much time now. He has to win against Wolves. He's got to instill confidence because Chelsea is a big club and we can't fall far behind. And if he can't use what the tools he's got and the potential he's got to get that team up the table, I'm afraid it's going to be curtains for him. I don't know. I can't even see top 4 at the moment. I know people say, "Oh, we're only so and so points behind so and so," but you're only so and so points ahead of those behind you as well, and you can fall back very easily. So it's critical times.
And there's a lot of clubs to catch up on as well, because sometimes if you are sixth, for instance, you've only got two clubs you're chasing, but we are having to pick up our results and rely on the teams ahead of us to drop points as well. So, and now what ninth? Because obviously Aston Villa won yesterday, West Ham won. So you're looking at 5 or 6 teams that we got to get in front of to get into the top 4. So we need to pick up a bit of a consistency. I actually disagree with you in a bit. I thought we played okay, especially the first half. I felt the first 20 minutes or so, I thought the players looked a lot more confident, and the formation, because Werner looked comfortable playing just behind, and I thought some of the passing was great. But it's the usual thing with Chelsea. You concede a goal, a soft goal. Kepa was terrible for that, and then you haven't got that character to get back again, because after we conceded and went 2-1 down, Luton started to be the dominant side, and in the second half they should really have scored a decent save by Kepa, but the player should have really shot it a bit lower. And as when Callum Hudson-Odoi, I agree with you with that. When Callum Hudson-Odoi came on, we were a lot more direct. But what I did like with Gilmour, what I saw with Gilmour, is that he was trying to pass the ball forward. So we weren't having these sidewards and backwards passing, and he tried to he kept the play moving a lot better, I thought. So
Yeah, to be honest, I like Billy Gilmour. He's a British player. He's good on the ball. He has more than potential. And I really wish he does well at Chelsea. The only thing is, I just think he's a tiny player in terms of his size. He would do so much better if he has a bigger player beside him to be able to deal with some of those aerial balls, although he won a few headers, I must say.
Yeah.
But, that's just it. It was like Fabregas. Fabregas was magic. But if you put Fabregas in midfield with Kante, we were always getting done because it's just two little players.
Not a lot of physicality. I hear that we're looking at this guy. I can't remember his name. But he's from Monaco, a 20-year-old, but he's 6'1". I've seen some footage of him. He looks like he's a big lad who can look after himself. And
I hope so, Max. I really
yeah.
do. I'm concerned that we're not going to be top 4, and then the players that we really need, Upamecano's of this world, or even Alaba. I think he's still up for grabs out there if we make the right noises. It might be a struggle without Champions League football, and maybe without Lampard. Depends.
Yeah, because at one stage I thought Alaba was definitely, it's the marker, isn't it? So they always make up nonsense stories that he had already signed for them, but that's not the case apparently, and he hasn't signed for anyone for Real Madrid. That was, but he's then the next one, Barcelona. I'm hearing looking at him, and then they said Chelsea were still in the running. So if we can go all out and try and get someone like Alaba, not only for his physicality, for his leadership. He's done it. He's seen it. He's worn the T-shirt, so he knows. He's those are the sort of players we need. Those vocal, experienced players who've got leadership qualities as well, because that's what's lacking in the side at the moment.
The only thing that really works for Chelsea is the Chelsea project is exciting, and any of these sort of big players coming, they know they're coming to make a difference. Alaba has stayed in a mushroom one-team league for far too long. This is a time he could make something out of himself as a player and test himself as a player. That's got to be an attraction, even without Champions League football. That could just be for a season if you do well enough. Everything's a gamble anyway. So we still have an appeal, but my concern is that if there are other teams, maybe like Man United, come along with Champions League football as well, it might be difficult.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because even people like Haaland, who we're looking at as well, they're not coming for Europa League football or whatever. So that's why. So if we want to sustain this rebuilding project, we definitely need a top 4, because I knew last season we've invested a lot of money, and this was meant to be like a two-pronged attack. So we went and got 4 or 5 players, and then the plan was Bramrich was going to then go out and get another 3 or 4 top quality players to just push us further and just get us challenging again for top honours. So, but yeah, as I said, without Champions League football, that's going to be difficult. So that's why we need to really get into the top 4 this season.
Do you believe top 4 is still possible? We look so bad, Max. So bad.
We do. But you know what? It depends on. Hey, Baggy, nice to see you, mate.
Yeah, how's it going?
Good, thank you. It depends on the run. We need to get on a run. Tyrone, you right, mate? Yeah, as I said, we need to. If we look at Arsenal, Arsenal were going through a bad patch. They beat us, and then all of a sudden, their results have picked up. And so, as I said, we need to start off with the Wolves game. If we can do Wolves and Burnley are not going to be easy as well, as you saw from the way they defended against Liverpool and that low block that we don't like playing against. So that's going to be a difficult one. But we can get back-to-backs against those 2 teams and a morale-boosting victory against Tottenham. You never know what may happen. But, we just need to get back into winning ways and fast, because the longer it goes on, we're halfway through, 19 games in now. And, the longer we go on and we go further behind that top 4, then it becomes difficult. And as I said before, we've got other teams in front of us as well. We've got Aston Villa, and they've now got 2 games in hand of us. So if they win 1 or 2 of those, all of a sudden you're talking about them being 5 points ahead of us. You've got Tottenham who are ahead of us. You've got Everton who are ahead. So there's quite a few teams that we need to chase down to get into that top 4 spot. So yeah, it's a mountain to climb, but we'll see. What do you think, Bobby? Baggy, sorry, and Tyrone.
Sure.
I mean, me personally, I think we have a tough road ahead of us, especially with the current situation we find ourselves in. If it was just bad performances that we were dealing with, then we can maybe overcome that. But there is a lot of media speculation right now. There's a lot of fan speculation right now in respect to the future of Lampard and the future of the club and how it's going to be moving forward. I think that's going to play a negative role in respect to the upcoming fixtures and in respect to where we are in the league. So it has changed from being just a football matter to being a club matter and I'm not going to say personal matter because there are some personal aspects, but it's more of a club matter and a managerial issue that needs to be addressed, as well as what's going on the pitch.
So, do you think a change of manager now can help boost our chances to top 4?
I don't know. I mean, to be honest, possibly it could help us in respect to getting a better position. I'm not sure if top 4 would be impacted by a change of manager, though. You see, the way I see it is the league is so different this year. There is so many teams that are dropping points. There are so many teams that are picking points up in games that you wouldn't be expecting them to do. That it's hard to predict. I personally don't think. I mean, I think Lampard is underachieving, but I don't think changing him would have that much of an impact in respect to where we would end up at the end of the season. I think if we were going to end up in the top 4, we'd do it with Lampard or without Lampard. If we were going to end up, in the top 10, the top part of the league, it would be a result that would be it would happen regardless. Personally, I mean, I've been fluctuating in my opinion in respect to Lampard and whether he should stay or whether he should go. I've come to this conclusion that Lampard is underachieving. That being said, I don't think it's just Lampard who's underachieving. There are other managers who are in the same boat as Lampard in respect to where they are and where they should be. There are the odd 1 or 2 that kind of overachieved. I mean, if you can call Man United being top of the league now an overachievement, it's a matter of opinion. I mean, Man United, that
I
would have
think
the biggest club
VAR's
in the UK,
overachieved
but
that one.
yeah, I'm not. You won't get any argument from me on that, mate. But like I said, it's not one of those things that if we get rid of Lampard, we're gonna do better. I don't see the way I see it now is yes, Lampard is underachieving. Yes, Lampard should have done better. But if we were to change him at this point in the season, it wouldn't make any difference in respect to where we would end up. That's the way I see it. I mean, maybe we can look at another manager to come in for the next season, maybe, but I don't think sacking Lampard now would have a massive impact on where we would end up.
Yeah.
Personally,
I'm with Bobby on this because Bobby's been really consistent in what he's saying. Is that what we need? Is that we need that destroyer in midfield. We're lacking that guy who's that powerhouse in midfield who can dominate games
Dennis
when we're
Wise
struggling.
kind of.
Yeah. Someone who could just dominate the game in midfield because we've just, especially in transition this season, we've just been woeful. And when we were going on that good spell, we were looking okay in transition, but when the games are not going our way, again, the gap between defence and midfield is too big. Teams can easily play through the lines between the lines against us, and in transition, that's we're most dangerous, I think, when we're attacking. Because if you look at the games against Wolverhampton Wanderers, when it's awful, and Manchester City, the third goal, and a few other games where there's too much of a gap and there's too many open spaces, and I just think a true DM, a true strong focal midfielder can make a massive difference, and one man can make a difference. Because you look at Manchester United last season, soon as they brought in Bruno Fernandes, he transformed them totally. His leadership, the way that he made them tick in the middle of the park. So yeah, I think we need somebody off that ilk. I'm not sure who is, if he's waiting for Declan Rice, if there's anyone else out there who can just come in and make that immediate impact to our midfield. I think that's the thing.
Max, I think what we're missing. Sorry, I just want to say this. What we're missing is the character. I mean,
Yes.
the player that we bring in, he doesn't have to be world class. He doesn't have to be a game changer, but he has to be a character. I mean, I'll give you an example. I'm trying to remember the guy's name. Di Canio. Do you remember Di Canio?
Yep.
Di Canio wasn't the best player, but Di Canio was the most vocal. He was, extravagant in the way that he would make some of his decisions. There were better players on that pitch when he was playing, but he was the one that took all the limelight and took all the attention because he made the team play a certain way.
Yeah,
and that's what we do. Yeah,
totally
so that's what
agree.
we need someone like that. Yeah.
Because even I've hearing some of the Manchester United players how they talk about Fernandes. So it's not only on the pitch; it's off the pitch. He's so vocal with the younger players, and just before the matches, he gets them up for the game and everything else. So those are things which people tend to overlook. They look at his ability is one thing, but as you rightly said, we need somebody who's going to get the team by the scruff of the neck, and when things ain't going, they're going to push them up. Like, remember Roy Keane back in the day? Whenever Manchester United weren't playing well, he'll come in with a couple of crunching tackles. He'll do something to lift the team, and that's what we need. We need someone. Dennis, as you mentioned, Dennis Wise, he'll do something, and then all of a sudden, the players react to that, what he's done. So our players are, as I said, someone said it before, our players are just too nice. And I don't like nice. I don't like nice. When people are not talking about, oh, I hate that Chelsea player, or I hate that Chelsea player, I want them to hate us, like Diego Costa. They hated him. I want our players to be hated by the opposition, because that means that they're riding them up and they're doing something.
I think somehow the decision about Frank may have already been made. I think because he's such an icon at the club, they're going to let him stay till the end of the season. But the only thing that will probably save Lampard's job is if he does something spectacular, like win the Champions League. I don't really see him getting into the top four. I just think, it's going to be a struggle. And I think come the end of the season, they're going to let him go. Sadly, it's very sad. I really wanted him to do well, but it's not happening, is it? I mean,
Every Chelsea fan.
Exactly. FA Cup, do I think we'll win it? Anyone can win the FA Cup. If we get favourable draws, then yeah, destiny, I think we can do it.
FA Cup
Tyrone,
if he makes top 4, but if not, he's gone.
yeah. So let's have Tyrone, then DJ Sav. So Tyrone, what's your thoughts on the game, mate?
It's, in my opinion, to me, it was average. The first half, there was a lot of dominance in it, and they were doing well. But then, unfortunately, that goal that Kepa conceded, I don't know. He did well, and he made up for that mistake. He made up for the mistake. But the issue that Chelsea still have, even though they won the game, was that they played a strong team against a championship team, and they weren't, well, they were dominant in most of the game, but they weren't crucial enough or critical enough, because you had times where, for example, the goal that they conceded, and even at the beginning of the first half, you had where they almost conceded again. So even though they won the game, there's still a lot of things to improve, and we all know that.
Yeah.
But I want to add to what Baggy TV said, and yeah, he's right. I've kind of drifted based on the past performances to the Lampard out situation a bit. So, sometimes you can be reactionary and everything, but when you think about it, getting rid of him now and getting a new manager would basically make no sense, because basically what the media is saying is that they want someone that can at least try to bring them back to top 4, which would mean that would have to be an interim, because then if the manager is doing good, they're not going to want to get rid of him. So I think if it was a situation where they were losing games after games after games, then fine. But if there's a situation where they're winning games in between, then fine. And especially now wouldn't be the ideal time, with games are going to be very quick, so it wouldn't give them, the new manager, a chance to build a team. And this is another issue that we had in the earlier part of the season. Lampard still doesn't know what his preferred lineup should be. And with him changing the formation and changing the players, chemistry won't be built in game. You can have relationships built on it in training and so forth, but in the game, if you keep changing, and you could understand in the beginning because injuries and everything, but now he has a full, or mostly full, team that he can try. And in my opinion, I think he should probably try what Chelsea fans and what he thought of when he brought the new players in. Try to use 4-2-3-1 or something, because Timo Werner, even though he didn't score a goal and he missed a penalty, he looked better and he was being terrific.
Yeah,
he was being better.
Said, yeah.
So even though I think with 4-2-3-1 it would suit him better, because obviously that's what Nagelsmann used he still uses it at RB Leipzig, and that fits him well. So we all know that he still lacks the confidence. He and the way he took the penalty showed that. But I'm not too worried that he won't be good. He just lacks the confidence, and he'll come good. He'll come good.
That position from deep was better, and he's got a big man in front of him, and he can run off him. And I did think he was a lot better. And he looked, you could see in his game, he looked more comfortable in that role than he has he's looked out of it when he's been shoved to the left or whatever. So when he has had a bit more freedom, he did look decent. DJ Sav, it's nice to have you on, mate. So
Thanks.
Let's have your
Thanks
thoughts.
for having me on. Thanks for having me on, bro. How you doing? You all right?
Okay, yeah, not too bad. Getting better, getting stronger.
That's good. That's good to hear.
Yeah.
That's good to hear. Yeah, I thought we had I thought the game today, I thought we did all right today. I mean, I know the result was 3-1. It could have been more, should have been more. I think I was hearing on some social media platforms, people were putting down Pulisic today. I don't know why. I thought he actually had a pretty good game today. He should have really buried a couple of chances. But it just shows that when you bring energy off the bench in terms of Callum, what he can come and do and what he did do. I thought he changed the game when we went to 3-1.
Yeah.
In terms of what people are saying about Lampard and his future, I mean, if you're believing certain media stories that are going around, I go by the Chelsea Fifth Stand app, and on the Chelsea Fifth Stand app, I think there was some talk saying the other day that Chelsea actually do believe in Frank Lampard. If they were to happen to, if they do part, they obviously want to give him time because obviously legend stays at the football club. But if things were to go up in the air, they will actually replace him with a full-time manager. It won't be an interim. It will be a full-time manager. Whether it's in the summer or whether it will be now, it'll be a full-time manager. And if the other corrections of what I'm reading in the media are correct, it looks like Thomas Tuchel is the front runner for it. Apparently, he's been in advanced talks with Chelsea. And also, I think everyone's got to remember his agent is Pini Zavani. And the minute he was actually relieved from his duties at Paris Saint-Germain, he knew there was some issues going on with Chelsea because we were losing games. I think it all started at Everton when we started having a bit of a hiccup. And when this all came into play, he quickly changed his agent to Pini Zavani because he had a feeling something was going to probably happen at Chelsea. And I think this is where I think we could end up making a change, and it could be him. I hope not, because I really think Lampard should be given the time. I think he's just going through a tough time at the moment with games. I think there's some of the players are not performing as they should be. I thought people getting onto Timo Werner's back. I thought today he was unlucky again today. Even that penalty he missed today just sums up everything. The guy had a good game, I thought, today. But you can just see his in terms of him in front of goal at the moment, it's just not working out for him. And I think it will come in time. It will come in time. And
it should have been retaken as well.
Because
the guys are clearly at 2 feet off the line.
But I think it will come good. But as I said, whether Lampard gets, I mean, I still think these 3 games are very crucial for him. I mean, obviously we've got Wolves, Burnley, and then Tottenham. If we don't get anything out of those games, I've got a feeling Roman may decide to, not sack him, but I think he'll probably try and find a way of parting ways with him.
Yeah, it's a results-driven business at the end of the day, as I said. So we need to get results in the next few games. What do you think of Tuchel then? Because you obviously, everyone's thinking. What do you think of him?
Do you know what? I think he's a good manager, but I think the only thing that's disappointing me with him is we all know what happened in the Champions League game. Allegedly, what had happened in the Champions League game, and then the comments Demba Ba made afterwards. If that is the kind of situation that Thomas Tuchel has done, we don't need that kind of thing at our football club. We don't because we've got this whole thing in the game now where we're trying to drive this kind of thing out of the game. And then when you have a manager who's apparently come out and said, allegedly said, telling them he's deserved to get that. I mean, that for me is that's not professional.
No, that wasn't good. Yeah, that didn't fit. That wasn't great what he said. I'm not sure about Tuchel, to be honest. He's a decent manager. I'm not saying that, but he reminds me a bit. He everywhere he goes, he has spats with a board, similar to what what's his name, Antonio Conte had at Chelsea. And if things don't go his own way, he starts sulking and whatever you say. Is he the right sort of person to have at the club? I don't know. What do you guys think about Tuchel? Baggy, Bobby, Tyrone. What do you guys think about him?
Me personally, I'm in 2 minds about him. Because I don't really think there is all that much that he can provide in respect to where we are right now. If he was to come in at the start of next season and have a pre-season, have a transfer window of his own, maybe he could have the team develop into the way that he wants. But for him to come in, at this point of the season and continue, and then, us hoping that we would get something out of him, I don't really think that is the correct approach. In respect, I just want to talk about a few points that DJ just made in respect to some of the players. In regards to Pulisic and him, the fans have been talking trash about Pulisic. I think it's more of the performance that Callum had rather than the performance that Pulisic had, because when Callum came on the pitch, he played a more direct style of football. He created more chances. He made us more of a threat. And I think when we saw that, we were like, why isn't Pulisic providing that? I mean, that's what Pulisic is supposed to be providing. And we're forgetting that Pulisic is going through a bad patch in regards to fitness, in regards to form. And we're forgetting what Pulisic provided us earlier on in the season. I mean, Pulisic is not a bad player. He's just going through a bad patch. And in respect to Timo Werner had a very good game.
Totally
the
agree.
penalty miss was unfortunate. I mean, there was a couple of good chances, but Timo Werner. I mean, if you guys saw his reaction after he missed that penalty, he almost ripped his shirt in half. I mean, the guy was upset. I mean, the guy is very passionate. Timo Werner is a very passionate man in respect to his performance, in respect to his game. If you think the fans are going hard on him, you should see how hard he's going against himself. He wants to perform for the club. I just think the Chelsea fan base. I mean, I'll be honest. I mean, there's a lot of guys that are watching this right now who are subscribers to my channel as well as Burton Ballers. And one of the reasons why I've taken a step back from videos is because of this. There's a lot of toxicity right now in respect to the players and in respect to Frank Lampard. I can understand us criticizing, but it's not criticism anymore. It's really hate. And this I just don't want to be a part of. And that's why I've taken a step back, because I criticize. I mean, everyone knows I criticize whenever I see something, going wrong. But I'm not hating on these people. I'm not hating on the players or the management. I'm criticizing, and people take that to fuel their hate. And that is why I'm not, I just can't do it anymore. I can't do this because I don't want to see hate coming towards my club and my players. And this is something we need to address, and we need to take a step back and have a look at who are real Chelsea fans and who are fans who are just here for, the glory or whatnot. And this reflects back onto Tuchel. Tuchel, if he comes in because we think that he will give us something better than Lampard, I don't think so. I think Lampard, regardless of who comes in, whatever we're going to achieve is going to be achieved with or without Lampard. If we want to do something, we should do it at the end of the season and have a fresh start next season. If Frank Lampard is deemed to be a failure.
Can I just add?
Go on. You Karen. Sorry.
Yeah, probably go.
I was just going to add to everything Baggy said. It was totally spot on. I absolutely agree with all of it. We seem to be, I don't know what's happened to us, to the world, in fact, whether it's social media or what, we can't seem to have different opinions or debate something without people getting vicious. I just find that really strange. I agree with you, Baggy. I mean, something's not right. I mean, we all criticize. That's what football's about. We're emotional, we're passionate, but all this hate stuff is weird. It is weird. And on the Tuchel issue, I'm just like you. I'm in two minds with him. I sort of wonder why anybody would want Tuchel when Nagelsmann's out there. And indeed, a cheeky punt can go towards the Southampton manager. I just think, I don't know. I've never been totally convinced by him. I just find some of his team selections, look at it. He was with a team like PSG, loaded with stars in a gimme league like Ligue 1, and he struggled. I just find I don't know if he's the answer. I'm still praying Lampard can do something. It's not beyond the realms of possibility. He's a young manager still learning his trade as well, with a young team still learning their trade. So it's going to be at some points a very bad recipe. And at others, if it clicks, it could end up being a world-beating recipe. I'm just praying for Lampard. I think he does have till the end of the season, as you've rightly pointed out. If he doesn't make top four, he's going to go, and perhaps rightly so, because we're Chelsea. We've got to be up there, and we've got to maintain that way of thinking. We don't want to go back to the mediocre days that I used to know as a kid. I just want those days done and dusted.
Yeah. Yeah.
Totally agree, mate. Totally agree.
Yeah. So with the way I deal with these hate people now, I just block or mute them, because some people are just too ignorant to have a proper conversation with. I like to go on to Twitter or whatever to debate, and if I'm I like to have a good debate with somebody without abuse and or arguments which have got no substance. So I'm no longer wasting my time with those sort of people. I find the mute and the block button quite soothing nowadays, because people have always got their certain agendas. Some people didn't want Lampard from the start, and there's some people who are just still hanging on to the Sarri days, and so they're always going back to, would Sarri have done this, or Sarri could have done that, not realizing that Sarri without Hazard last season, I don't think would have finished top 4. That's just my personal opinion. And I've got nothing against Sarri. But I just don't like these weird followers that he's got, and who are not willing to give people a chance. And it's always has to be something like Mason Mount against Jorginho, and they put all these little things. It's always a player up against another player, and that's totally wrong for me. It's just yeah. And as far as the Tuchel, I'm with you guys. As I said before, I'm just like between. I'm not sure about him. There's something that I'm not quite sure about with him. Nagelsmann, but thing intrigues me. The Southampton one, Ralph Hussenthal, intrigues me, the way that he's transformed Southampton. Nagelsmann's another one who I do like.
Yeah. I kind of wish that I went first, because Baggy literally went through everything I wanted to say. Because
Sorry, mate.
it's
minds think alike.
Yeah, because it's true, because what he said is we all know what happened with him and PSG and everything. So even though people might respect him because of his tactics and the way he can bring out the best in some players, I have my doubts about him. And if that's the way they want to go, then I really don't understand the path in which Chelsea want to go. Because as Baggy said, with Conte, you had that same issue, and I don't really think it's smart to go through the same thing and to make the same mistakes as before. Now, with Timo Werner and what you said as well, it's true. These days you have so-called fans who are saying that they're putting players up against each other. They're saying, why is Jorginho doing this? Why is Mason Mount playing this game? And over time, in the beginning, you can say that he's played too many games and everything, but Mason Mount has started to prove the why he is playing games, and if you take him out of the team now, I want to say that he's not offering much as he used to in the past. And you guys mentioned about having a player in the midfield who will have that drive, and that's true. Now the thing is, I clearly don't know everything about Chelsea due to my age and everything, but what I do remember and what I do know is that you had players over the years who had that type of personality, who gave that performance game in and game out. So players like Mikel, you have other players as well. So unfortunately, it's hard to find players who will have that same mindset, because football hasn't really been the same, because it has evolved to a situation where players, especially young players, when they get their price tag, they start to develop an ego where they think they've just eventually reached their highest potential, and they just don't what's the word they don't give the performance that you'd expect them to give or you want them to give. So unfortunately, if we're going to want a player that in the midfield who will do that, is going to be a player who has more experience, maybe not a young player. And I know over time the media is linking Declan Rice to the club, and we all know the reason why Declan Rice doesn't really suit some boards opinions and everything. So even though Declan Rice offers much at West Ham, I think it's best to get a player who has experience in the game and doesn't, have really a different perspective.
But Declan, I think because he's played over 100 games for West Ham, although he's still young, he's still quite experienced. He's played 3 seasons, I think, for them now. And he's got the character and mindset that I think would be okay, because he's already a leader at the club, even at his young age. So I think sometimes you don't need to be as experienced as long as you've got to show those leadership qualities.
Yeah.
And he's already captain of West Ham at that young age, so he has got that because even if you look at John Terry as a 21, 22, you knew that he was going to be a future captain just the way, because I think he became captain under Ranieri when Ranieri was our manager, and I think he was about 24 when he made him captain. Well, no, it's actually, it was tell a lie. It was actually Jose Mourinho who made him captain. But Killian, do you want to join? Okay, Killian, come on, mate. I'll let you join. Yeah. So,
Max, can I address the 2 comments there by Alfred?
Yes. Okay. Yep. Off you go.
Sure. Okay. I mean, the first comment that he said was, what's the point of having Lampard till the end of the season? And I think we've addressed that already. The second comment was, what if Lampard does well in the last matches? Would you not give him another season? Well, yeah, that's the whole point. I mean, if Lampard does do well, and that would be a good Champions League one, finish in the top 4, and maybe an FA Cup, then why wouldn't we have him next season? I mean, that's the whole point. The idea is not to sack Lampard. The idea is what is better for Chelsea, what is the best for Chelsea. So in regards to your comment, Alfred, we do want the best for Chelsea. Is that going to be with Lampard? Is that going to be with somebody else? That is what we're going to wait to see towards the end of the season. How does the season end? If Frank Lampard is able to do that, then why not keep him along and keep him playing, keep him managing the club? And if he doesn't do well, then we'll all say, look, change him and bring somebody in who's going to have a preseason and who's going to have a transfer window to adjust the team so that they are able to do something next season, because we want Chelsea to achieve. And for Chelsea to achieve, we have to give it the tools to do so. And to do that, preseason and a transfer window and a fresh start. Any manager that's going to come in now, mid-season, it's not really going to make a big difference to what Lampard would achieve towards the end of the season. And I think Lampard would be able to achieve better towards the end of the season than a new guy coming in, because he knows the players, he knows the club, he knows what he has to work with. Or if somebody else coming in, especially coming in from a different league, they're going to struggle. So I just wanted to answer Alfred,
Okay,
and Keelan, welcome to the chat, mate.
Yeah, Keelan, what you got to say, mate?
Hello.
Hiya.
Hello, Keelan.
Hiya. What you got to say about the match today, or what about Lampard or anyone? The floor's yours, Keelan. We can view the.
About today's game, I think Timo Werner, I think he hasn't got no confidence, because he missed the penalty as well.
But do you think he played better today? Don't you think he had a better game than he
Yeah,
has?
he had a better game than against Fulham, but I think he's lost a bit of confidence.
Yeah, it was a pity that he couldn't round off his. I thought his all-round display was good, and I just thought it was a pity he couldn't round it off with a goal. So that would have given the way he played today with a goal would have given him more confidence going into the next few games. But what I agree with Baggy when he said, even when he missed the penalties, you can see he wasn't happy, but he was still running around chasing, and his head didn't drop, and he still was showing for the ball on a couple of occasions, which is good to see, because when things are not going your way, sometimes you go into hiding, but he wasn't going into hiding. I still think he was there trying to make a difference. So, but yeah, I do like the role he played today, just behind the striker, the main striker, and I think that is going forward. That's probably how we can get the best out of him. Did you want to say something else, DJ Sev?
No, I was just going by before Baggy spoke. Everything he said, I have to. I know everyone's agreed. I've agreed on it at all. I think we do need to look at the situation and say yes, we need to give Lampard time. I totally agree. On the Callum Hudson-Odoi thing, listen. I'm a massive Cho fan. I've cried out for this boy for time to start out games over Pulisic, because I think he's the better winger at the moment over Pulisic. I think what gets me a little bit down is if he has one little bad game, he's then dropped out of the team. For me, he needs a run of games. I think he just needs to get a run of games in the team, and I think you'll see then what a player he will be. And I think for me now, hopefully going forward now, because of today's performance, he will start the next 3 games that will lead up to our next game against Barnsley in the FA Cup, and he'll start him in all these games, and maybe put Pulisic on for the Barnsley game, but. Going forward, for me, I hope Cho and Zeech do start on the wings.
That's what I was saying. That's what I was saying as well, because, like Bagger said, it's not that we're having a go as such at Pulisic, because I've noticed since Pulisic has come back from his injury, he's just being a little bit off the pace with the game. He still does a few drills, but sometimes he's trying too hard. Sometimes shooting when he shouldn't be shooting, and. Not making a wrong pass, or whatever. And Choi, he's been very confident. He's influenced games. The last 5 or 6 games, he's either scored or assisted, and his passing is insane as well. Okay, he started against Leicester, but I would have liked to see him start against Leicester on the left rather than on the right. So rather than dropping Ziyech, like you, I'd have had Ziyech on the right, him on the left. I think we can get the best from him on the left. He can play on the right, but I think his best position is on the left. So try him out, give him 3 or 4 games on the left-hand side, and I think because I think we'll get better results with that.
Can I just add something on Callum? Callum's point. Callum is a player that needs to be proving himself constantly for some reason. He is not allowed to have a couple of bad games, and I don't understand why that is. I mean, the lad has been playing well. He's been like Max said, he's either scoring or assisting pretty much every time he started or every time he's jumped in. Now, I just don't like that aspect in regards to Frank Lampard's management. He seems to have a different standard for different players, whereby some players are allowed to have bad games and they will still get a start, while Callum Hudson-Odoi has to prove himself literally every single game and some. And that is one of the criticisms I have of Lampard's management.
I have to second that, really. I think you're very right. Callum Hudson-Odoi, for some reason, he always has to have a 10 out of 10. And for a 19-year-old, 20-year-old player, I think that's a bit too much of an ask from Frank. He tolerates the odd bad game from Mason Mount, and he does have them. He does go missing sometimes. He tolerates games that are a bit poor from Pulisic and most of the forward line, but Callum Hudson-Odoi, for some reason, is a bit too hard on him. I don't know, maybe because he believes there's a much better player in there. I don't know, but I think he should ease up a bit and give him the chance. He's showing us more and more what he can do after coming back from that horrendous injury.
Yeah.
And I just think we've got to just ease up a bit on him.
Can I just? So I just want to add one point in regards to what Bobby just said about the injury. The injury that Callum is coming back from is the same one, or a very similar one to what Ruben Loftus-Cheek is coming back. Yeah. And have you noticed that Ruben is literally just now starting to get pick up form, and people are talking about him. What is he going to do for us next season? You know what? That just shows what kind of injury this was. I mean, it's not a coincidence that 2 players who had it pretty much around the same time and are starting to get their form pretty much back around the same time.
Yeah.
So this shows that this is something quite serious. And both Callum and Ruben were players that all of us here in the chat were looking forward to seeing coming back, because we know what they can do and what abilities they have. And I'll be honest with you guys, I'm really excited to see Ruben come back next season. And if he can
Yeah.
pick up where he left off last season, before last season, when he got that injury under Sorry, in that amazing friendly that I don't know why
Oh,
he was playing.
let's not
I mean,
talk about
I don't want to go there. I don't want to go there. But you know what I'm trying to say.
Mm.
We have two, in my opinion, potential world class players, and it's not just me who's saying this. Bayern Munich is saying this, all right, and they've been
Exactly.
saying this for a while.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
please show faith in the man, in respect to Callum, and give him, his dues. Because I'll tell you something, in my opinion, the hype that we're hearing about some of these other players like Sancho and whatnot, this lad is just as good, if not better.
Yeah. I agree.
Totally
I
agree.
totally agree with
Totally
that. And
Yeah, but it's so funny though. It's like Baggy's in my head right now. He's saying exactly everything I want to say. because under Mauricio Sarri as well. Before I think the missed the Europa League final. They both got injured during that period as well, so they missed that game. And then that the preseason game and everything, it was just terrible. But yeah, he's right. They both getting because I watched the Fulham game when they played Spurs, and what I heard the commentator saying, there was like, he's on loan from Chelsea. If Chelsea don't see what they have right now, then there's something really wrong, because his performance is getting better and better. So I think, even though he got that injury, they're both coming back. They're both showing their performance. And what Baggy said as well was that Callum Hudson-Odoi is there's a lot of pressure on him, and that kind of reminds me of the Jose type of mentality, because I've said this in the past. It would be like, let's say, for like Martial, when Jose was the manager, Martial had to fight to get chances. All in all, Martial was doing terrific under, and he's doing terrific for him now. So, and even at Spurs now with Dele Alli has to be fighting, and he's not getting any opportunity to play. I think he played in the FA Cup for them, but under Pochettino, he got chances and he was doing terrific under there. So it's a situation where I'm gonna give Frank Lampard the benefit of the doubt and say he's trying to to get Callum to constantly fight, because and as Baggy said, he believes that there's a talent in there, and he wants to show the fans, and he wants to show the world that they have a player that's from the academy. And also, I have to say this as well, that Leeds game, for that one game that Chelsea had their fans back, there was, you could see that there was a connection with the fans and there was a connection with the players, and I think that would have, in spite of the situation, the pandemic right now, I think something that Chelsea's lacking right now is the constant support that they need, because you have some fans who give them the support, but not all fans are on social media. Some are not, as vocal as some. So I think if they had fans, I think they would have more. They'll realize that they have more support, and their performance probably wouldn't be a situation where they lack the confidence, and probably would have helped Timo Werner as well, because
yeah. Good
he
point.
needs that confidence and he needs the support, because people be saying this. Lampard needs to be giving support, and he needs to be sitting down with some players, even the entire team, and especially now,
In
and
defense of
try.
Frank, sorry, in defense of Frank, as far as Callum Hudson-Odoi is concerned, for such a young player with so much talent, I think Frank, being a hard worker as a player himself, has recognised that Callum, in order to achieve his potential, just cannot take his foot off the gas. His career is going to be one of somebody pushing himself till he can push himself no more. So I think that to be fair, might be why extra critical of Callum, because he knows there's a world beater there and you've got to get it out. And football's a short career. You know, by the age of 23, he should be flying. And the only way he can do that is by being tough with him, really. And it's working because
Yeah, he's challenging him.
Yeah, he's on court.
Yeah.
Can you imagine next season when we get Loftus-Cheek back? And if we have, you know, Callum on form, I mean, there is so much potential in this team. We've been so unlucky with injuries and things like that, keeping so many key players out. But if we can just have them all back together, gosh, we can do a lot. As far as Frank gets his tactics right.
Yeah, some good points there because he is challenging Callum, and Callum's taken up the mantle as well, because I'm not sure if everyone knows that he's actually hired a private football pitch where he's going out and he's practicing drills and shooting and everything else. So that's the reaction that Frank's looking for, because Frank used to train till it was dark every night to improve his craft, because obviously he wasn't the most naturally ability. He didn't have the most natural ability, but it's through sheer hard work that Frank got to where he was in the game. And if you look
Cristiano Ronaldo does.
Yeah.
Exactly the same thing.
And if you look what happened with Pulisic last season as well, a lot of people, the same questions were, why is Pulisic not playing? Because remember, he wasn't in the first couple of months, he wasn't actually a part of the team, and because Frank was expecting certain things from him. So once he got into the team, his performances were of a high standard that he stayed in this team. So maybe that's the same way he's treating Hudson-Odoi, whereas he said, look, we need to have these standards and have him consistently. And it's kind of working, because you can see that he's reacting, isn't he? Callum Hudson-Odoi is reacting. So all he can do is, when he's on the pitch or when he comes off the bench, to put in these performances to say, look at me, mate, I want to play and I'm here and I'm proving myself. And he's doing that. He's putting in some high class, consistent performances. And that's just one more point back quickly. And if you look at Sarri, did the same, wasn't he? He didn't put him in the side for a while because he was trying to teach him how to adapt and in training and what was expected of him. And when he did come into the side under Sarri, he was a world beater. So yeah, go on, Spaggy.
Yeah, I want to address 2 points. First, I'm going to start with Tyrone. Tyrone was talking about the fans and the lack of fans. You know what? In respect to performances, I believe the lack of fans, especially when it comes to the new signings, plays a bigger part than anyone else. And especially a player who is having a problem to, motivational, concentrating, etc., etc. The fans can play a big part, and I think we saw that with Jorginho, because once the fans started shouting Jorginho's name under Frank Lampard last season, you saw how much he started to improve in respect to his performances. He had a couple of good games, and all of a sudden the fans started backing him. And Jorginho changed to being a key player for Frank Lampard last season. So that does have a massive impact. And in respect to the point that Bobby made and Max followed up on, in regards to Lampard being a little bit more tougher on Callum than others, because he wants to, see him improve himself and build himself. There's another aspect though, lads. If you remember, Frank Lampard was part of a generation that had a lot of English talent get wasted because of bad habits and bad, social circumstances, and their careers went down the toilet quite early on. And this is something that Frank Lampard saw with his own eyes and experienced himself, either with his generation or the generation he grew up watching, the likes of Gascoigne and Merson, etc., where they had, some bad things. And to be honest, I'm not sure if you guys are old enough, but if you remember the likes of Keown and Tony Adams, they had big problems in their lives, and some of them were able to turn it around, and some weren't able to turn it around. And Callum has made some mistakes of that nature quite early on. And I think that also might be a reason why Frank Lampard is being a little bit more tougher on him trying to get him, to understand, this is something that you have in your own hands, and you can either, build on it or throw it away. And he's trying to help him to build on it. That could be a way that this thing could be looked at.
Yeah, remember King at Tottenham as well, the centre back.
Yeah.
He had the potential. Ledley King had the potential
Yeah.
to be as good as John Terry, but
Yeah.
he just let alcohol and bad habits get away. That's why he kept getting injured, because he just didn't look after his body like he should have done. He had so much natural ability. So yeah, I understand where you're coming from. We can't get into, they can't get into these bad habits, because football now, especially if you want a prolonged career, you need to be looking after yourself, being professional on and off the field. So yeah, some good points there, Baggy. Who's that? Was that someone? Did someone?
It might be a DJ.
No.
DJ got something to say, right?
No, I'm just.
Let me just.
It was Keelan. It was Keelan.
Keelan, did you have something to say?
Yeah, like I feel like when someone gets past our defence and Kepa's in goal, I feel like it's a goal. But when someone beats our defence and Mendy's in goal, I feel like they've got someone to try hard against to score.
Yeah. So
let me answer him. Keelan, firstly, this is the first time I've spoken to you live, so it's a pleasure. You're a big supporter of my channel, so it's good to talk to you. Keelan, in regards to Kepa is one of those players that confuses the hell out of me, because one minute he's one of the best, and the other minute he ain't that great. And I want to talk about today. Today, Kepa looked dodgy against long-range shots, and I was really worried that Luton would pick up on it and start to to shoot from a distance. For some reason, he wasn't picking them up. I don't know if it was something with his vision being impaired. I don't know where it was. But in regards to the goal that went in, his position was right, but he had I don't know if his foot slipped. He couldn't, adjust his stance quick enough, because he had his foot in the right place with his hand. If he had the right contact with his foot and his hand, he'd have saved that. But his foot went, away just as the ball was coming, and all he had was his hands. But yeah, Kepa is not having the best of times right now. Yeah, so yeah, there you go. That's my answer.
I honestly think that, and I've said this before, I think Kepa can be a good goalkeeper. I think if he gets like a coach, and I know that Petr Cech has tried to help him, but we know that his confidence, his mindset wasn't there. And the Morecambe game, that one save, he probably made it look as, well, I can't say he tried to make it look as more spectacular as it could have been, but you have to commend him there, because, the momentum on the ball and his body probably would have made it score. But, as Baggy said, it's true, because remembering last season, he made some horrendous errors that really, really confused me as well. But before the pandemic happened, you realize that he was doing well against Liverpool, Everton, and before that. And then a few games after, he just went back downhill, and then he had some good performance. So it was back and forth. So I think I don't know, but with Mendy going to leave next season for international purposes, and we're gonna need a goalkeeper. I think keeping Kepa and getting another goalkeeper, or I don't know, probably trusting one of the academy goalkeepers. I think Kepa can probably become a second place goalkeeper, especially with Willie being, getting, he's nearly 40.
Yeah, we got Petr Cech, remember, still.
I just want to say two things.
Yeah.
Firstly, I don't want to see Kepa being our second goalkeeper, because I don't think he's good enough to be our second goalkeeper at the moment. To be honest, to be quite fair and to be quite frank, I don't even think Mendy is good enough to be our first goalkeeper at the moment. I think we need to look, really hard at our goalkeeper situation and get a proper world-class goalkeeper, because Chelsea is a world-class team. Okay, so
Agreed.
Mendy could do the business for us until the end of the season, but I think we need to look at the goalkeeper situation for next season.
Yeah.
The other point I want to address is this comments that I've seen about the formation. Today we did not play a 4-2-2-2 formation. It wasn't that. Today we played a 4-2-1-1 formation. And in my opinion, this formation did show some promise. I want to know what you guys think in the panel because seeing Werner as a 10 or as a centre forward just behind Tammy, it did have a lot of positive aspects because Werner was able to play across the front line.
Yeah.
I want to know what you guys think about it. So
Yeah,
give me
I've
your
mentioned this
opinion.
before. I thought that this formation gets the best out of Werner. It definitely got the best out of it. Werner looked really comfortable in the formation today, and what I'd like to see. Obviously, once we play against better opposition with stronger midfielders, because with this formation, we're going to get outnumbered in the midfield. So what we'll need to do is to have a strong spine. So we don't want in transition for teams to be able to get through our back line. But as I said, going forward, I thought we did look a lot more comfortable because everyone was playing in areas that they were comfortable in. They weren't playing out of position, I thought, and that we did look more cohesive.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I totally agree as well. I think with the midfield we have, we won't be able to cope in the majority of games playing that formation because we're bearing off enough as it is. I just want to comment on this Kepa situation. Once again, I find it, I mean, there's nothing Baggy says I don't agree with. I keep thinking, I just wish I didn't agree with this guy, but he says everything that I agree with,
All correct points in it from Baggy.
Cheers, lads. Appreciate it.
Kepa made a remarkable one-handed save in this game, which I tried as much as I could to give him, to big him up for it. And then he goes and nearly lets another one in straight afterwards. But the truth is, he's not good enough. Mendy, Mendy is safe. He's not a bad goalkeeper. Is he a Chelsea goalkeeper? Well, Chelsea goalkeepers should be world class. So if we can get Donnarumma, I hope I've said that right.
Donnarumma,
along with Mendy, that's more like Chelsea. As for Kepa being a second choice, no way. He needs to go. He's not good enough at all.
Yeah, I'm with you because I agree with both of you there. And I think the reason why everyone thinks Mendy was so good was because Kepa was so bad. I'd have looked good if I was replacing Kepa, to be honest. But I'm not knocking Mendy. I think Mendy's a decent goalkeeper, but sometimes his decision making, he comes out a bit when he shouldn't. Even it was a game against, was it Leicester or something? I can't remember. No, Fulham, wasn't it? When he just came out when he shouldn't have come out.
And Thiago Silva had to prevent it from scoring.
Exactly. So those are things that Petr Cech and others can improve on him. They'll see that thing and talk to him about it. But so Donnarumma is one that we've been linked with of late. But I was confident of getting him earlier, but now that AC Milan are doing so well and they may win what's it? Serie A, yeah. So if they do win the series, that may convince him to stay. Because obviously he's been with the club since he was 15, 16, and his agent as well is
Viola.
The one no one wants to negotiate with.
Exactly. So that's gone a bit quiet that link. But if we can get him in, or even and being very ambitious, go for like a Oblak or something. Then
we were linked with
talking
him.
about AC Milan.
What are they saying? 100 million for? Is it 100 million for Oblak?
They were saying there's a lot of money for Oblak.
Yeah,
God.
And that's why I think Lampard chose
Baggy.
Go ahead.
I think it's a situation where it looks like with Mendy, we knew we were interested in him, but like at the end of the day, it looked like it was a panic buy, especially after Kepa's performance. And I think Lampard wanted to take a safe route and not really spend a lot of money on getting a goalkeeper because he didn't really want to see probably what happened with Kepa happen again. So I think that's what he did. But yeah.
I wouldn't call
I don't think it was a panic buy. I don't think it was a panic buy.
The win they bought him kind of looked like
he was
it.
scouted by Petr Cech for a while.
Yeah, but
Mendy.
when he got it, the media's gonna say it looked like a panic buy because we signed him right after I think we lost. So yeah, I think it was right after we lost Liverpool.
Yeah, but we're looking at him before.
I know.
The way I see the Mendy situation is as such. Mendy was a goalkeeper that we've been watching for a while, and we knew that this guy has talent. We are at a position where we don't want to buy a 20-odd million pound goalkeeper. We want to buy world class. This season we've already spent a ton of money, so we can't buy world class. We can buy good goalkeeper. Buying Mendy and bringing him into Chelsea, he's a player that we would be able to use as a second tier goalkeeper next season once we buy somebody world class. Had we have bought a player like Onana, who was also roughly the same price, he may have not been able to have been used as a second goalkeeper next season, and then we would have had an issue when we were looking to buy somebody like Oblak or maybe Ter Stegen or Donnarumma or whatnot. I just want to emphasize one point. In respect to an issue that we haven't really discussed, so I'm hearing an echo. Is it my mic or is it somebody else? Do you guys hear me all
I
right?
think it might have been Bobby, actually, because
Sorry, I apologise. It's my daughter. Sorry.
Right.
No
Okay.
worries. I want to ask you guys in respect to Tomori. Tomori going to AC Milan, on loan, possible return next season. More likely that he won't be returning. Probably Milan buying him and keeping him.
Yeah, especially if he does
What
well.
do you? Yeah, I mean, we haven't really talked about that, but I want to know what you guys think about that, because me personally, I think we have made a big mistake with Tomori, because from what I've seen, it's not something on the pitch, but it's rather something off the pitch that has caused this decision. So I want to know what you guys think about it.
It does look like it's a fallout, that is a disagreement that he's had with Frank Lampard, because for me, him and Zuma last season were our best partnership, and he gives us what he can. Defensively, he was quite solid. He made a couple of mistakes, but he's young, and those all can be, always as a young defender, you are going to make one or two errors, but those can be coached out of his game. And he's also one of our better passers, because he used to pass the ball very quick between the lines as well, comfortable on the ball, pace to burn. And I just think he'd have benefited a lot by playing alongside Thiago Silva as well, that wealth of experience that Silva has. So, and for me, after Zuma, he should be next in order, because next in the pecking order, because he's better than Rudiger and Christensen, in my opinion. Definitely.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
I'll let the others talk now. Stamford Bridge, what you got to say on it? I've added you. You haven't. Stamford Bridge, do you want to say something on Tomori?
Yeah, I'm quite disappointed with his transfer, I think I wanted him to stay because he's, as you mentioned, he's pacey, good passer, all that kind of things that we could use because Lampard's excuses for playing the players, which could be an unnecessary decision, is quite daft because, against Leicester, Rudiger started. His excuse was, or was it Aston Villa? I don't know, but his excuse was that Rudiger was training well. Sure, that would be good, but if we should have gone with something that would benefit the team, not a person who would make mistakes constantly and cost us games sometimes.
Because between him and James, they're at fault for that second goal, the Maddison goal, I thought.
Is there a buyback for Tomori if he gets sold?
I don't think a buyback has been put in place.
Yeah, I've not heard about that. Yeah.
Well, that's daft in itself, isn't it? That's crazy. We should have done that for sure. Look how often that's come back to bite us.
I don't think it's. I don't. It's. It was a foolish move, but I've seen people compared it to the Kevin De Bruyne situation, but I disagree with that because with the Kevin De Bruyne situation, it was a case where Chelsea were winning the league. They had players who were good. Now with Tomori, there's an issue with the defense. So with when you have a player, especially from the academy, who proved his worth last season, and when he came on against Liverpool and other games, I think that was kind of foolish to do. Again, if he was alone, then I would understand. But to agree the option to buy part of it, I don't get that.
Maybe
can I add something? Can I add something to this conversation, lads? Who do you think would be a better player going forward for Chelsea? Tomori, Malang Sarr.
I think Tomori for me. I think the only.
I agree.
I think I think the situation with Tomori.
Have you watched?
Sorry.
You watched Malang Sarr. They're about the same type of player. And Malang Sarr is left-footed.
Tomori is proven. Tomori is proven. He's done it in the Premier League. He's already played in the Premier League.
Yeah.
And it's his home. You know, he's an English lad. He's going to be here settled. Malang Sarr may have other issues.
Yeah, I'd like to hear DJ Sav's one. Obviously, he's from Portugal. He watches a lot of Portuguese football as well. So DJ, what's your take on Malang Sarr?
Malang Sarr at the moment, he's actually doing pretty well in Portugal at the moment. I think he had a bit of a dodgy start, but he's actually started to grow in now with that team, and I think he is doing really, really well now. The good thing is at least with Malang Sarr, like the situation with Tomori. There is no obligation to buy. I think it is it's just a loan.
It's just a loan. It's
the same. It's the same situation with Tomori. They haven't got obligation.
I think it's
to
a
buy.
2-year.
Yeah, it's a 2-year. But the situation, just to address on Tomori quickly, I think when you got one of the best known defenders in the world in Paolo Maldini coming out and saying this kid is absolutely class and he's going to be a class player.
Yeah,
that should actually make the Chelsea board and people think above, why are we letting this player go? Now, for me, I don't think it's Lampard who's actually let him go. I don't know if you guys can remember when Christensen first came to Chelsea, they were outing him out to be the next John Terry. And if you remember, when he did come to the football ground, he was actually shown around the football ground by John Terry, and the actual club officials and the board were actually saying he's going to be the next big thing. Now we've seen now with Christensen's situations. He's gone out on loan. He's improved his game. He's come back, but we've also seen he has got a lot of weaknesses in his game as well. Now my situation on Tomori is Lampard had him at Derby. He knows what a player he is. I don't think Lampard personally wanted him to go. I think it's more for Chelsea, more for Chelsea letting him go situation than Lampard, because I think if you were to actually probably ask Lampard outright, who would you prefer as a defender, Tomori and Christensen? I think you'll find he'll choose Tomori over Christensen any day of the week because he knows what the kid can bring.
He hasn't played it though.
Yeah, he said that in his press conference too.
But the club wouldn't stop him from playing him, would he? He hasn't been playing.
No. Christensen's dad was putting a pressure on Chelsea to play his son, wasn't he? I remember that. Yeah. But we've got two other centre backs. Remember, we've got Guay, who's doing really good things at Swansea at the moment, and I'm hearing that this Colville guy, he's a centre back who Chelsea are planning to promote. They rate him really highly. I haven't seen a lot of him in the youth team, to be honest, but he's only 17 or 18. But they've seen a lot in this guy that they want to push him up into the first team picture next season.
And
so
Xavier
maybe
Musamba.
We've got
We've got a ton. We've got
loads.
Yeah, so that's where Chelsea has an issue as well. They have a lot of players, but then did you guys see or hear what Lucas Piazon said?
Oh, about all these loan moves, and he wasn't given a fair chance at Chelsea. Yeah. But Piazza was never going to make the grade. I didn't think
he wasn't good enough. That's just the reality.
Yeah,
So he kind of made himself look like the victim.
No, he wasn't the victim. He was just, that's when we went through getting a load of Brazilians and trying to strike gold with one of them, and it just didn't kind of come off. Because whenever I saw, he was an able player, but he wasn't someone who you think, why is he not in the side or anything else? He was just an average player for me.
Well, I think they probably should have allowed him to leave a bit sooner, but to try to build back his career. Yeah, but
I'm going to be on for about another 5 or 6 minutes. I'm going to take and try and add in Eric, because Eric's been waiting. So let me just, sorry, Stamford Bridge. I'll just add in
Can I
Eric.
ask Baggy a question quick, if I may?
Okay.
But,
yeah, go on.
Baggy, you on Twitter?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, he is.
I am.
Yeah.
What's your what are you on Twitter? Is it Baggy TV as well?
Baggy TV, yeah. Go on Baggy TV. You'll see my picture. It's the same picture that you see on the screen there.
Okay.
Yeah, he's there. So Eric, what you got to say, mate? You're on mute, Eric. Is he coming on? No. Oh, he's Eric. Oh, yeah, there you go. Yeah. Go.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, glad to see you back.
Thank you.
Yeah,
it's good to be back.
Yeah, and it's a positive result again, and the team actually played better. We weren't just crossing the ball every time. So hopefully they can build on the performance and on to Wolves.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I was saying before you came on, Eric, it was more of, it wasn't like the same predictable play, and the formation I thought worked quite well. Albeit the opposition wasn't the best, but if we can, it'll be interesting to see what formation he uses against Wolves. Actually, whether he sticks with this formation or goes for a different one. So I want to ask you guys, actually, talking about formations. If you had a choice of formations, what formation, with the personnel that we have at the moment, what do you think's the best formation to get the best out of all our players? Shall I start with you, Bobby, then work across?
Sorry, I was struggling to unmute.
Sorry, yeah.
Everybody says 4-3-3, but I just tend to feel that, is it 4-3-2-1? Was it 4-2-3-1? Tends to be what I would prefer for Chelsea, because I think because we don't have a CDM, we need to pair up in that position and play with three. And because we have a number of players that can play as number 8s, we need to float the 3 in front of the double centre backs in midfield, and then play with one striker. But that often gives us a problem with what to do with Timo Werner. And I have no issues with bringing Timo off the bench and putting him on the bench for some games. I personally think he needs it. I still have a lot of faith in him. I think he's going to make it. But I think in his first season, where we're now desperate for results, we can't mess about. We've got to bring him on when he's needed. Every player should be playing now as needed, because we're at the thick end of the season. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong. But in game, depending on what you're facing, you should be changing formation regularly anyway. You can't be rigid.
If I jump in here, it's for me. It's again 4-2-3-1. But the difference I would have is as follows: Frank Lampard wants to play Mason Mount, every single game. Mason Mount would be ideal, with a different formation. With this formation, he would be a little bit of a hindrance, in my opinion, because of the players that we have. I would play in the 10 position either Kai Havertz or Timo Werner. If I'm going to play Giroud as a striker or Tammy as a striker, I could have Timo Werner behind him or Kai Havertz. That being said, the two midfielders I would have, Mount, in my opinion, wouldn't be suited for this formation if I'm playing Werner or Kai Havertz, because then my midfield would be a little bit too weak. I would have the likes of Jorginho, Kovacic, Kante, Gilmore in those positions. Mount can rotate with the number 10 if if Lampard wants to have him in that position. But the players that we have, I think having Timo Werner, especially after the performance that I saw today, Timo Werner should not be overlooked as a 10. I think he can offer something in that position.
Yeah, thank you. What about you, DJ Sev? What formation?
I think the formation he actually played today, I think, was actually okay. I know it was Luton. I know it was Luton Town. But still, I think Werner. I think I spoke to you in on Twitter, Max, and I said Werner looks. I think you were saying he looks a bit more happier in his team today. And I think if he can do that same thing, if that is the situation that's actually making him happy, and he can actually, he obviously set up the first goal for Tammy. Obviously he missed a penalty, which is a downfall today. But if he can carry on playing that way, I reckon he can score goals. But then again, you've got Kai Havertz who can also come in if he doesn't do it, who can also play the role he played today as well. So I think the formation we done today, I think, was actually a good formation. But again, it depends on the opposition you're playing against, because depending on the opposition you play, they're obviously either going to play the same way or they'll change it another way to adapt that. So yeah, for me, today's formation.
Mm-hmm. Eric?
Yeah, I think our best formation is 4-2-3-1, but I don't think we can play that formation without a DM. We only have Kante, who isn't a DM, but he can play like a DM, and we can't play him every single game. So we have to look for a different solution. So I think until we get a DM in, we could play a 4-3-1-2 maybe. So we have the numbers in the midfield with the 3-man midfield, and then Kai can play like the number 10, and then you have Timo up top with someone else, maybe Tammy or Giroud. That could work. And then when we get a DM, we can play. I was thinking, because Kai Havertz can play like a false 9, and he's usually more effective in the final third. He's more effective higher up in the pitch. So I was thinking that he can play off Werner. If we can get two of them to play with each other, that could really work well. With Kai playing like a striker and Werner playing like the second striker. I think that could work. But the more I think about Werner and his goal drought, I feel like we shouldn't think of him as a goal scorer like the way he was at Leipzig, because I don't even think he's as good as Tammy or Giroud, with the goal scoring. I don't think he's as clinical. So we should just think of him as a player who can just help us in whatever way he can. I'm not too sure we should expect him to be like a Mo Salah or something like that, scoring a lot of goals. But I could be completely wrong, but I just feel like he's not that kind of, I don't know. I don't feel like he's going to work out so that way in the Premier League. So maybe we shouldn't be expecting him to score too many goals, but just help the team however he can. We shouldn't look at him like, oh, this is what he should be doing always, because it affects our, the way we look at him when he performs. Because he played well today, but obviously he didn't score. So everyone thinks, he's a flop, or he's not going to make it at Chelsea because he doesn't score. So I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think scoring should just be something that he also does. But just however he can help it, especially like Bobby said, it's getting to the business end of the season. So just he needs to just help us however he can, until the season ends and we can see what happens next season and onwards.
Yeah.
That is such a massive point. Big point.
Yeah, sorry, Bobby, go on. Yeah.
I was just saying that is such a big point and such a good way to look at it. Take some pressure off him as well if he knows that fans aren't really expecting him to score.
Yeah. All right, Tyrone.
Okay. This is getting extremely funny. Baggy keeps saying the exact same thing I want to say. It's just too funny. I was gonna say.
Tyrone, let me interrupt you one more time. Are you a subscriber to my channel?
Yes, I am.
Oh, I did. Carry on.
I was gonna say that 4-2-3-1 is I would go with 4-2-3-1, and I was also gonna say that, and I've said this before, Mason Mount doesn't really fit into that, so which is why I think Lampard wouldn't. I think Lampard knows that people are saying that he should do this and he should do that, but because he knows that it wouldn't really allow Mason Mount to do what he does in the other formations. So I don't think he'll really switch to it. But 4-2-3-1, I would use that. And also, as Eric said, you've mentioned this in the past as well, where you were saying that the Bundesliga is absolutely different, and it's true because I started to watch the Bundesliga a bit more now, and what I've realized is that in those games you can have where teams are conceding 7 goals, 5 goals, and it's just crazy. And it has to do with the positions, the style of play, and the width. So as well as that, as Eric said, it's true. If Timo Werner knows that fans are not really counting on him to do exactly what he did at RB Leipzig, scoring 20 goals in a season and all those type of things, it would have been better for him, because I think that's the issue with Werner right now. He's frustrated because obviously he wants to score, but he knows that modern day football is about, if you don't score goals, if you don't at least hit the target or something, you don't have a good performance. And that's what's happening with Hazard, especially because they were saying he has never had a good game in a shirt, and that's because he hasn't scored. And he's clearly proven them wrong now, because he was putting up a performance, I think it was yesterday. So yeah, so I think if Timo Werner has that, the support, and I've said it before, if he has that support, that fans don't really expect him to be scoring 20 goals or hat-trick and all those type of things every game or every other game, it would be better for him, because he'd feel a bit more relaxed, and he would probably focus on being like the distributor, or if he can score, he take those opportunities, but not try to score every minute, and maybe that frustration wouldn't be too big on him.
Yeah.
I want to add something to that. We seem to forget the quality of the Premier League. You see, a lot of players coming into the Premier League struggle. They may be great players in the Bundesliga, in the Serie A, in La Liga, wherever they're playing. They may be great players, but the Premier League is a different kettle of fish. The Premier League is much more physical. The pace of the game, the way we play in the Premier League is different to the way that they play in the continent. The thing is this: a lot of players can leave Chelsea, can leave the Premier League, and go elsewhere, and they would shine. It doesn't mean that they are, that they have become better players. It's just that they're playing Bakayoko. Bakayoko is a good example. He came from Monaco, and the guy was great in Monaco. One of the best players in that great team. That title, I think they won the title that year. And he had the likes of Mbappe alongside him. He was part of a very, very good team. He came to Chelsea with high expectations. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to fulfill that. We sent him out alone, and he has some good spells with Monaco, and I think it was AC Milan.
AC Milan, yeah.
Yeah, and now I think he's
at Napoli now.
Yeah, he's doing bits with Napoli, and even the likes of Kepa. Kepa can go to to another team in the La Liga, and he can perform. He can shine. Doesn't mean that he's all of a sudden he's become a better player. It's just that he's playing at a lower standard. And it's just something that we have to understand, that the Premier League is a much more harder league for people to play in. So Timo Werner, Kai Havertz, Hakim Ziyech, Thiago Silva, all these players that have come in, they have adjusted. And I mean, Thiago Silva has the experience of different leagues, and he has agent on his side, so he's able to adjust quicker. But the young lads, the Kai Havertz and the Timo Werners, it's going to take a little bit of time to adjust, and we need to be patient, and we need to also understand that our expectation level needs to come down a little bit to give him that time. Timo Werner had a very good spell at the start of the season. Now he's going through a dip. People are talking about him being the next Morata, etc., etc. I think that's just being unfair on the lad. Give the guy some time. The guy has a lot of talent. The guy has a lot of skill.
Yeah.
The guy has a lot of heart and determination. You can see that, with the way he handles himself on the pitch. So let's just be patient.
Yeah, and
the
that's true
thing
too.
is,
That's true
yeah,
too.
and the thing is as well, the whole team are going through a dip. So it's, if some of the team were playing at a high standard, then he could be quietly going about his business. But because it's the whole team, and he's
True.
new in the team, then that makes the struggle a bit greater for him and
Yeah.
for Havertz as well, I think.
It's more visible. Yeah, true.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So
Um,
some great points with the formations, guys, because I agree with a lot of the points, like Baggy and Eric as well. And so you guys, Timo in a deeper role, I think suits his game better, where he's more roaming around rather than on the wing or up top on his own. So today showed that he's better there. I agree with you, Baggy, about finding a position for Mason Mount where we go down the 4-2-3-1 route. And I also agree with the fact that if we're playing two holding midfielders, we need two strong holding midfielders. Otherwise, we're going to leave ourselves exposed. And yeah, that's why I'd like to see an enforcer, as Bobby keeps saying, an enforcer coming in to the side. So that would that would allow us maybe to play even sometimes Mount deeper as one of the two if we've got a good enforcer next to him, maybe. So that may work as well, because Mount
I
gives us a
have
lot of energy.
I have a feeling. And I don't know if this is going to pan out this way, but I have a feeling that Billy Gilmore, in a couple of years, he's going to be that enforcer. I think the lad is vocal.
Yeah.
Right now, he's the youngest one. He's the least experienced one, so
Yeah.
he's going to be a little bit tentative to be vocal. But I've seen him talk. I've seen some of his interviews, and
Yeah.
he does have an opinion. And I
Yeah.
think in a couple of years he may be that vocal.
He's
pivot
quite vocal
midfielder.
now at the moment as a young.
Yeah.
He's instructing
Yeah.
people where to go, and what I like, he's because he's a Glaswegian, the tough
Yeah.
nuts, aren't they?
They
So
are.
although
Yeah.
he's
Too
small
smart.
in stature, but he can put in a tackle. He
Yeah.
knows how to tackle, definitely. Yeah.
Pretty smart. He's pretty smart. His passing decisions are pretty smart. And also, this is one thing that Baggy just brought something back to my mind as well. With Hazard, I've watched many of the Real Madrid games that Hazard played in, and the La Liga, it has a bit of a slower tempo. It has a bit of a slower tempo because passes that he makes, players are a bit slow to get into it because he makes the passes, they miss it, and then that chance is gone. So he still has that playing style that he had at Chelsea. So when he went to the La Liga, the physicality, the tempo change. So he's used to being quick on the ball, and you have to pass the ball because if you get too many times in the Premier League, you lose the ball, you get a tackle, and he might not be a free kick or a penalty or whatever. So I think it's a situation where the different leagues have their different tempo. So yeah, Timo Werner doesn't really understand it too much, and this is one thing I respect with him. When he started to struggle, he admitted that he didn't expect it to be this hard, and that's something that players do. They have an expectation where when they come to a new league, they will just hit the road and they'll just do terrific. So he admitted that he didn't expect it to be that hard, and that's something that I respected.
Yeah.
Do you know about? Go ahead, Bobby.
I was just going to say Timo's going to be fine at Chelsea. He's got the one thing every real Chelsea fan looks for, and that's fight. You see him, he's fighting. He wants it. He wants to score. He wants to do well for the club. And if he continues with that attitude, the fans will get right behind him, even when he's having a bad game, as we're doing now. I find it hard to find anyone who really has a go at Timo Werner. We know he's trying. We know it's going to come. And we can't really ask for much more than that for a first season for such a young player in a new country, in a new league. I'm not worried about Timo. It's so different to the people that are trying to compare him with Morata. And with Morata, you saw he had a stinky attitude. He wouldn't care less in some games. I nearly wanted to box him when he came past me once at Stamford Bridge. I mean, I just can't stand that sort of player. They don't belong at Chelsea.
Yeah. The warning signs were there with Morata, because I remember Buffon, the goalkeeper, when he was at his first spell at Juventus, and he was trying to get into his head, because he says once things start going wrong for him, he just hasn't got that strength of personality to get out of the rut. Yeah, exactly. So that's when I heard those words before he joined Chelsea, that the alarm bell started ringing for me. Then I said, if things are going well, fine. Once things start to go wrong, then we're going to see a sulky, moody guy, and he's going to be bad for the rest of the team, and that's what we witnessed.
And if I can just quickly say this one about Billy Gilmore. Remember Dennis Wise? Dennis Wise was a little guy, but my God, he was fire in that midfield. Yeah. And he would dictate games. Dennis was so fiery that he would actually dictate the game. If Billy can be half that player, he'll be great.
Yeah, he's getting there. You can, as Becky said, there's certain things about his game that you could think, there's a leader in there.
Dennis Wise. I don't know if you guys remember the game against Man United when
he pinched Nicky Butt.
Exactly.
He pinched him on his I was at that game.
He got him sent off. He literally got him sent off. Yeah. So I want to talk a little bit about Morata and a little bit about Hazard. With respect to what Tyrone said about Hazard, do you remember when Hazard used to play for Chelsea? Whenever we had an attack, we always used to look to pass the ball to Hazard and try to build it through him.
Yep.
Whenever Hazard got that ball, everyone in the stands would get up and they start shouting and they start clapping and they start pushing the man. Hazard, when he was at Chelsea, he was the man, and everyone knew that, and he felt that. So he had that energy boost, that motivation to do well. When he went to Real Madrid, he didn't have that. Okay, and then all of a sudden he's playing with no one in the stands, and he doesn't have that push, that drive that he's had throughout his career at Chelsea for the last seven years at Chelsea. So that kind of hindered him. Yes, he's playing in a different pace, different style, different system, but a player with Hazard's skill level, he can adapt. But a player with Hazard's skill level, without the motivation to adapt, that's a different story.
Yeah, it goes back to the fan situation.
Exactly.
Yeah. And plus, sorry, it's back before we go on to the Morata. The other thing I'd like to say with regards to Hazard is that Real Madrid's fans are not the most forgiving, because if you look at the career that Cristiano Ronaldo had, and even a couple of bad games, and they're getting on his back after he's won them 5 or 6 Champions Leagues. So and Hazard isn't used to that sort of criticism from the fan. But even when he's had a bad game for Chelsea, because we valued him as a player, we still didn't get on his back. And so he's a confidence guy as well. And Max, if he wants to feel loved.
That's a Spanish issue, because we saw the same thing with Messi exactly. After that whole thing. Yeah. In regards to Morata, lads, Morata was never a first team player until he came to Chelsea. Morata was always a sub. He'd come on as a sub. He had a limited amount of starts before he came to Chelsea, and we used him as our main striker. So we gave him that morale boost. We gave him that prestige of being, the number one striker for a leading club in England, and maybe that was just a little bit too much for him to take because. I felt that it got to his head. I felt that he felt entitled, and it started to show in his performances and in his attitude. He had an injury. He came back. I think he came back as a sub a couple of times, and he wasn't happy to come back as a sub. He wanted to start straight after coming back from an injury. So you see, we want players to be cocky, but we want players to be smart cocky, not dumb cocky. If you know what I mean.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Unfortunately, we're getting the likes of Morata and whatnot. And like Bobby was saying, Kepa. And like Bobby was saying, it's a disrespect to Timo to compare him with Morata because different mentality, different different attitude, different everything.
Yeah. And even he was a panic, but because obviously Lukaku was the one that we were after, and he wanted us badly. And again, it was that agent Miriola who scuppered that deal. But so in the end, once we found that, because we were so far down the line of getting him, it was agreed by him. But then it's because Riola wasn't getting the agent's fees that he wanted. He said he's not going. And even, have you seen the interview by Lukaku recently where he said he was upset with his agent for scuppering his move to Chelsea? So I think that's what it was. And then it was again, okay, we're not getting him now. His agents pushed him towards Man United, so we need a striker. And then it was just like we went in again. It was more of a panic buy again for the Morata one because he wasn't our number one. Yeah.
Max, do you put Lukaku in the same category as Mo Salah and De Bruyne?
As one that got away.
Yeah.
I think because he loved Chelsea, I think he would have given us his all, and I think he would have scored a lot of goals for Chelsea. And for me, I'll never forgive Mourinho on a number of accounts. I think coming back, although he won us a league, the long-term effect that Mourinho left with the club was devastating. Because again, it was a personal thing for him, it was an ego thing. Because he missed that penalty. Remember, he missed that penalty against Bayern in the Super Cup. He never forgave him for that, and he started to ostracize him because of that penalty miss in the Super Cup. And so he got rid of him. With the De Bruyne. De Bruyne one was a bit of both because De Bruyne even said to him, said that he could have been a bit more patient. But I don't understand why he got dropped in the first place, because remember he started that first game against Hull and he was outstanding in that game. And all of a sudden, I think he played in the next game. All of a sudden, he just left him out for no reason for the next 5 or 6 games. And I just couldn't understand why he made that decision.
Apparently, he wasn't putting in enough effort or something like
that. Because the thing is, okay, it wasn't put, but when you think he's done nothing wrong, he's left him out, then he's playing him in some meaningless League Cup game against some side. But obviously his attitude could have been better, and he did say his attitude could have been better. But Jose wasn't communicating well enough with him, and I think with better communication, he would have stayed at Chelsea. Salah, I'm not gonna with the Salah situation, I'm gonna put my hand up and say, I thought he was out of his depth at the time at Chelsea. You could see some good things with Salah, but he wasn't ready for Chelsea at that time. So when he went, I wasn't saying that. When De Bruyne went, I thought bad mistake. When Salah went, I wasn't thinking, oh, we've made a bad mistake here. I just thought that he was not ready for us at the time.
Max,
but what the club should have done, I think what we should have done is we should have had some sort of buyback with Roma, because I think a couple more seasons and experience under his belt, and he comes back to us. Then
I agree. You see, in regards to Salah, I reckon if he had stayed at Chelsea, he would not have become the Mo Salah that we're seeing today. But because he went to Roma and he was able to play in with a team that relied on him and gave him the ability and opportunity to develop, he got to that stage. Whereas if he stayed at Chelsea, performing the way that he was performing, he'd have got much less game time, much less experience, and he would not have been, the Mo Salah of today. But I agree with you in respect to the buyback clause. Yeah, we should have done that.
You're very right about
you saw the potential, didn't you? You did see the potential in it.
Yeah.
There's some games you saw and for wow, and then other times it was a confidence thing. I remember he had a shot which ended up on the corner flag once ago. But even a lot of fans, match-going fans that I used to talk to at the time, we did think that we said there is a player in there, but probably not quite ready for Chelsea at this stage. But
a
he can
lot of
develop
similarities. A lot of similarities of Mo Salah back then with Callum of today.
Yeah.
And
that's why
people forget, around that time there was Drogba, there was, I think we even had Eto'o, Anelka, all those sort of strikers. Mo Salah was way down the pecking order.
But what Jose liked were, remember Schürrle was around then as well. He likes the workers, doesn't he? And because Schürrle was a bit of a workhorse, and we backed the wrong horse actually because we've really got rid of Schürrle and kept Salah. Then and Oscar, he's another one, isn't he? That's who what De Bruyne was sacrificed for. Oscar, he turned Oscar from a fantastic attacking midfielder to try and get him to more a defensive type number 10.
That's what people don't really realise with Jose. As fantastic as he was, whenever he left clubs, he always tried to do something to destroy them, and he messed up a lot of players. I personally think he single-handedly stunted Mikel's career. Mikel was a very versatile midfielder.
Yeah, he was the number 10. They saw him as an attacking number 10, didn't they?
Yeah.
But he adapted his game. Fair play to him, though. He did adapt his game.
Is it Mikel still playing football somewhere?
Yeah, he was. He went to. Who is he at now? I think he's at
Middlesbrough.
Middlesbrough. He went to Middlesbrough.
Middlesbrough.
Yeah.
No, he was.
And he's still only 33, isn't he? Or 30.
I
looked at his age the other day. I think he's only 33 or 34. So he's not
33.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was a good CDM at one time.
Yeah.
I mean,
he was. You know what? Yeah, he's one of those players who a lot of fans, because he did his job. But a lot of fans underestimated him. It was only when he wasn't in the side that they could appreciate what he was about. And when you think he was the man of the match for the Champions League final.
Final. My God, he really performed.
Yeah. I recently watched it over again because I was really young then, so I didn't really remember everything. And then I was like, damn, if only we had players like Mikel.
Yeah, him in this team now, he make such his experience, the way that he plays in a sensible way, and that he holds his position as well. He would do wonders in this side now. I think
that's what we need, isn't it?
Yeah, we need that type of midfielder. I think definitely, and he was quite strong, wasn't he? He wasn't the quickest, but he was strong as well, and he was hardly ever beaten in the middle of the park. Anyway, guys, we've been going for nearly. Go on.
That's just one point. About watching, because what Cameron just said about watching the Champions League final back again. How many of you guys here watch old matches on the rerun? And the reason why I'm asking is because personally, I do it every now and then, and I find myself learning more about watching old matches than about watching games live. It's just me. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
I do the same. Especially the Champions League final. I always go back on that.
Yeah,
always.
Yeah. I was going to wrap it up actually, but now I've given another 10 minutes because it's a good point. No, the reason I know we all love talking football, don't we? Yeah, that's the thing. We don't know where to press the pause button or the stop button. But you guys, one of the points I want to make, which is a great point, and I've seen it addressed a lot of time on social media as well. A lot of people, a lot of people are thinking this going back to the Frank thing. Oh yeah, let's get in a new manager and it would all work straight away because we got a new manager. But you know what? When we had the core of that side back in the day, when we had the Drogbas, the Terrys, the Lampards, and people like that, they could manage themselves. I heard a story the other day where I heard it. I was at the cup final when we lost to Tottenham in the League Cup final when Avram Grant was our manager. Who was giving the team talk in the extra time? John Terry. Avram Grant was just walking around scratching his head because he didn't have a clue.
Yeah.
So even Di Matteo, a lot of people give Di Matteo the credit, but the players won us that cup because they were so experienced, so that anyone, whenever we left a manager came out, these guys, we had so many leaders and captains. When you think how many captains of countries we had, like people like Essien was a captain of his country. We had Ballack, who's a captain of his country. We had Ashley Cole wasn't a captain, but he quite easily, there's the captain mentality. Cavallo had captain mentality. Drogba, even Lampard, everywhere in the team, they could potentially be captains in our team. So they were able to self-manage themselves. That's why this. When we do the exact managers and thing, and that's why we carried on as a unit, because we had them. This team that we've got now is a totally different team from what we had those years ago, because all these guys are young. They're learning the game. So if you think it's just a quick fix, let's change the manager. No, it's not as easy as that. As Baggy said before, earlier on in the show, we're not going to get the same sort of response, because we need to build again. We need to get once these players are 3 or 4 years down the line, inexperienced. If we keep them, then we're going to see the rewards. So it's going to be maybe a longer process than what we want, but if we are patient enough, then I think we're going to see the benefits of this in years to come.
I really agree.
You know what's funny though? I saw people saying that on Twitter, and that's exactly what I said. I was saying that, the team had experience, so even if they didn't have a manager, they would have still done well. So people give credit to Avram Grant and say he did this, he was a terrific interim manager. But John Terry knew what to do. He had experience already, so there was nothing really that he needed help with. And they're young, so they need someone to guide them. If it was a situation where they had like 3 years of experience or so forth, I think they probably would have done better. But you can't say that interim manager would have helped, because they knew what they were supposed to do, because they knew how to build a system even without a manager.
Yeah. Did you see what's his name? Steve Sidwell was on Talk Sport a few weeks ago. Did you see what he said about Avram Grant? Anyone?
No.
Yes,
No.
yes, I did.
So,
I heard it.
No, John Terry actually said to the guys, "Look, guys, we're going to have to do this all ourselves, because this guy's got no sort of experience in coaching or whatever. So we're going to have to manage ourselves." Yeah, and that's what he said.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I read
certainly Gus Hiddink gained from the experience of the team.
Yeah, Gus Hiddink was a proper manager though, but Avram Grant wasn't. When you saw what he did when he got West Ham relegated, was it? And then he went to Portsmouth, and they weren't much better. So he was just a friend of Abramovich. He was just in the right place at the right time.
As far as what you said about Frank and the current team, it's very true. Of course, they are learning. They're very young. And so is Frank, really, for a manager at this level. But what we want from Frank is to stop doing stupid things. You can't just have a team and then go off to play someone like, who is it they played and they threw away the game? Wolves the last time.
Yeah.
And just go gung-ho.
I know, that's very naive.
You've got to show some nous, play on the counter. Sometimes be boring. You're after points. And that's something I think he's going to have to learn with time.
Exactly.
But you're right,
I remember
it's not a quick fix.
Yeah, because I remember, Bobby, what you were saying before the West Ham game. And that's how we got the result against West Ham, wasn't it? We scored that goal and we sat back a bit. Yeah. And we let West Ham come at us, and then we hit them on the break to score the other 2 goals. So especially when you're struggling, sometimes when you're struggling, that's what you need to do. If you score a goal.
You guys remember the Invincibles?
Yeah.
All right. Before they became Invincibles, they were known as the most boring club.
1-0 to the Arsenal.
1-0 to the Arsenal. That's what they were before they became Invincible, and that's what we need to be. We need to be boring, and then we can become invincible. We can start building on it. Yeah.
If you look at Man City this season, right? They've quietly moved up the table. They're not because last season they realised that they were too open. they've only conceded 1 goal now in their last 9 games, and they're not going out smashing teams 5-0, 6-0. Pep realised that they had to again get the basics right at the back, and then that's why you're seeing them now getting these results. So they're a dodgy start, but now I think they're my favourites to win the league this season. I think.
Max, we did it this season. Do you guys remember at the beginning of the season? We had that one game
we went on that run. Yeah.
Nil. We were clean sheets, but we weren't scoring nothing. I couldn't care less. We weren't losing, and then we started to build on that. 17 games undefeated, or 16 or whatever it was. Boring. Well, at least we were getting where we wanted to be getting.
Yeah. At least we're still undefeated in the Champions League, so we at least have something undefeated in.
I worry for that.
Half full, man.
Atletico are strong. I worry about that game.
Yeah.
When is it? Is it coming February? Isn't it? That's coming up in February.
Yeah.
Too soon.
Unless form hasn't changed since then, because they are exactly the team that we don't want to play strong defensively and can hit you on the counter.
But do you know what, Max? Do you know what? If we play them and we somehow beat them, then that's going to turn the season around for us.
It would do.
It would. Yeah.
Confidence-wise, that would be massive. Yeah.
But we have to beat them first, isn't it?
Yeah. So last point now before I go. Freddie's saying Tuchel or Nagelsmann. I'll start on this one. For me, it's Nagelsmann. For me, I think he's more of a flexible coach, and he's carries less baggage for me. And the jury's still out for me on Tuchel. So, Bobby, do you want to go, and then we'll go round?
Me too, Nagelsmann for sure. I'm still team Lampard. I'm still praying for Lampard, but if the worst comes to the worst, then it's got to be Nagelsmann.
Yep. Okay. Baggy?
Yeah, if it's from these two options, Nagelsmann is for me. But like Bobby said, I would rather stick with Lampard to the end of the season. But worst case scenario, Nagelsmann.
Yeah. Okay, Eric, your turn.
Yeah, Nagelsmann is. I think it's the more exciting option. He seems like the more interesting modern coach. I know people say Nagelsmann used to be Tuchel's number 2. I remember what club it was at, but that doesn't mean that Tuchel is automatically better than him, and we should go for Tuchel instead. A lot of people think Tuchel is a better option. I'm unsure about Tuchel. Personally, I would go with Nagelsmann. One of the main reasons is he already works with Werner, so he could get the best out of him. And he knows about Havertz, from the German league. So that's an obvious, So I think I would go with Nagelsmann if Lampard. I almost feel like it's when, but let's just say if Lampard gets replaced. Hopefully he stays to the end of the season.
Yeah.
German speaker. He's a German speaker as well.
Yeah. DJ Sev.
Yeah, I go with the same as everyone else is echoing. Nagelsmann for me, definitely. Just for what he's doing at the moment in German football. I think he's the kind of man who can get the best out of Timo Werner, basically, because he's had Werner playing under him. The same with Kai Havertz as well. He's a German speaker. However, what I'll say is I want Lampard to stay till the end of the season. That's a fact. But if they're going to make a rush decision, as we sometimes know Roman can do, I won't go for Tuchel even as an interim. I think the only one I probably would look at maybe is the other guy who started it all. Is it Redrick?
Ragnick. Yeah, Ralph Ragnick.
I think he could be the one as well if they're going to go down the road of an interim. But like I said, they don't want to do an interim. So for me, Lampard till the end of the season, and then Nagelsmann after that.
Yeah. Okay. And Tyrone.
Yeah, Nagelsmann, and this is an interesting thing as well is he confessed something in what I think it was in some interview that he actually looked up to Jose Mourinho. So that's his nickname. He's called, I think they called him something. I think it's Baby Jose or something like that. And the fascinating thing about it too is that he's in his 30s. He's in his late 30s, and he's doing
not early. He's 30. He started his career as a 29, I think.
I think he's
So I think he's
33.
33. 33, I think.
31 or 30, yeah.
33, I think it is. Yeah.
And the interesting thing is he's doing terrific. He got RB Leipzig to the semi-finals and everything, and they're doing well. They even knocked out Man United. I will always respect Nagelsmann for that. So yeah.
And the other thing is, the interesting thing as well is that we're after Upamecano as well, haven't we? We've put our name in front. So if we are, then maybe that strengthens the Nagelsmann thing, because obviously he's another RB Leipzig player. So yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, we're gonna have to sign him too, because we know tomorrow is most likely going to leave, so we're gonna need someone.
Yeah. We said about our 50 centre backs when we're going to want to sign another one.
I don't think Nagelsmann is available before the season ends.
No,
so
I heard that he won't be ready till the end of the season. So that's probably another reason.
They're probably going to try to win the Bundesliga. So I think he's going to try to see up the season with them.
Yeah, I think he will do. And another reason I don't think we're going for Tuchel. If we were going for Tuchel, I think we'd have signed him up after the Leicester game or during when we had that break when we played against Morecambe. Because I think he's available now. So Chelsea have had reservations about him in the past. So that's why I don't think, because the fact that they say they don't want to sign an interim and he's available, then maybe they're waiting for like an Nagelsmann to sign. That's my thinking behind it. Yeah. Anyway, guys, I want to watch this Liverpool Man U.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
It's almost time. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we've been on for.
Forgot about that.
Great talking to you guys. Obviously, a wealth of knowledge on football. So we've actually had 2 hours 11 of flowing arguments, which is good. It's nice, good therapy. So guys, I'll try and be back maybe for the Wolves game. And we can have a shorter conversation, because obviously it's going to be later at night on that one.
You actually surprised me, though. You surprised me, because I wasn't expecting you to do one with your situation and everything.
Yeah, I'm feeling a lot better. From where I was. So yeah, I'm a lot stronger. And you saw, I only coughed a couple of times today. So yeah. But my breathing's a lot better, and my appetite's back, and I'm good. I'm strong. So it's good. It's good.
That's good then.
Hope none of you guys suffer from this. It's not a nice. It's not. It's not a nice thing to get. But it's So I'm just glad that I've seen the worst of it through. And yeah.
Always good to have you back. Honestly, it's great to join you, Max, and to have Chelsea YouTube royalty, Baggy TV. We've got a bit of oh man, love you, man. And we're gonna get green turf on. I don't know whatever happened.
He's been on before. Yeah, we did one.
Yeah.
Myself, Baggy, and green turf.
Yeah, I watched that one.
I
think 1 hour and minutes.
And you know what? I think that was the day when I started to get COVID, because I was coughing a lot in there. But I just put it down to a bit of a cold that day, so I didn't realise it was COVID at the time. But yeah, I'll try and get green turf back on again for another chat. Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks for joining as always, and it's great.
Yeah.
Thanks for your input, Bobby, Baggy, Eric, DJ Sav, Tyrone, even the others who came on. Killian was on for a bit. Who else was on? Truthful Blues was on, and whoever else contributed was great. Yeah, and then so small steps. We got the win that we wanted. Got Barnsley now. That'll be an interesting one. Can we do a repeat of the 7-1?
I wonder if anybody's gonna get a hat trick that time again. Hat trick.
Yeah. So that's a nice draw for us again, that one. So yeah, but as I said, the bigger tests are to come. Wolves and Burnley are going to be the 2 big tests to come along. So if we can get back to back.
Yeah, bright side also not in the way this time. So.
Oh yeah, that's right. Exactly. Yeah.
Wonderful. That made the win better.
It did. Yeah.
Arsenal going out. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Own goal.
I know. Yeah. So 2 back-to-backs against the B teams, Burnley and who we got? No, what might be the
Wolves.
Wolves Burnley, and then a confidence booster against Tottenham. It's always nice to be at Jose Mourinho's side. And if we win those 3 games, then we're going to go on another run, and everyone's going to be forgetting about Franco, aren't they? So Yeah,
Super Frankie.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do what Man City did last season.
Yeah. So we'll see. This league is a funny league as well this season. I think if you can go on a run of 7 or 8 games, all of a sudden you're going to be up the table again, because there's no consistency with anybody at the moment. Leicester got a little bit of consistency. Man City have found some consistency, but all the others are winning some, losing some. So yeah, it's an interesting league. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, guys, enjoy the Man U game. Who do you want to win, guys?
Liverpool.
Draw.
Extra time, and they get really knackered and lose their next.
Is it a replay or is it extra
No,
time?
they're not doing replays because of. They're just going to be one leg.
Yeah. Extra
time.
Then,
a few sending off, big injury for Bruno.
A couple of injuries would do,
yeah. All right, guys, take care. Enjoy the rest of your day, guys. See you later.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thanks for having us on, Max.
Bye.
Take care, everyone.
Right, cheers.
Nice speaking to you all.
Bye.
Cheers. Bye.
Cheers.
Cheers. Bye-bye.